All right, guys. Good evening and hello. How's everyone doing? Oh, our little technology imps are still playing with us this evening. So I tried streaming on a different streamer and it didn't work. So we're back on StreamYard. Shout out to the duck. The duck keeps us going. Let me know if you guys can actually hear me okay. And let me know whether or not it's choppy. And if it's not, I'm going to keep going and we are going to dive into our topic, which tonight's topic is empty seaters. So while we are waiting for the room to fill up a little bit, I'll just kind of give a little context on the topic and then we'll dive in. So last night I did a live stream on Permission to Exist regarding people who claim that they have no inner voice. Awesome. You guys can hear me. That's fantastic. Send good mojo and good energy to the technology. Positive vibes. It was quite an interesting live stream and a very, very deep and interesting discussion that we had afterward. And part of that discussion is the comments that come through on the live stream. And someone actually made the comment in that chat, they are empty seaters. And I think I commented on that during the live stream and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to look that up. So I did. Guys, oh, wow. What I found, I just could not wait to share with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. I'll link this article in the description box once the live stream is finished. I just didn't have an opportunity to do it before I switched over. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. I think it's the perfect topic for this channel. And I think it gives us way more context and way more depth to the conversation that we were having last night. Okay, so welcome everyone. Hello, thank you for joining. If anyone knows that other people are still like camped out in one of the other failed live streams, maybe I should just pop in there and tell them to come over because I bet you they're still over there waiting in the other ones. Hi. Oh, good. I'm glad you found us. Welcome. So again, to those who just joined really briefly, we had a very long and in-depth discussion yesterday on my primary channel, Permission to Exist, regarding people who claim that they have no inner voice. So no dialogue, no sense of self, no conscience, really. Essentially, they claim that they don't think, okay? They say that essentially they think in pictures, and we're not talking about visual learners. That's not who we're talking about. They think in terms of pictures. They don't think in terms of words. And quite a few people who were watching actually found it to be very, very creepy and unnerving, and so did I. So I had to do a little bit more research just to kind of make myself feel better. And I came across this. I would make it a little bigger, but if I make it any bigger, I'm afraid it's going to go off the screen. But let me just try something really quick. How do you zoom in Safari? Oh, here we go. View, zoom in. Oh, that made it worse. Wow. I went to zoom in and it actually, oh crap. Oh my God, I just completely ruined it. It was fine. I should have just left it alone. Actual size, boom. Okay, it's back. All right, I'm not gonna tinker with it. I apologize. Actually, since I'm already over here, let me just go ahead and copy. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for you guys right now. So if you want to go ahead and look at the article I'm looking at, I just dropped it in the chat. Yeah, it was creepy and interesting. And I've been thinking about it all day. And I wonder how many of you have been thinking about it all day as well. So let's go ahead. Let me come back. All right. So I know it's probably pretty small on your screen, especially if you're looking at a cell phone. So I do apologize for that. Unfortunately, I can't make it bigger. But you do have the link there, and you will have it in the description box. So you can look at it yourself when you have time. We're not actually going to read this whole thing because I'll show you it's actually pretty long. Like, it's incredibly long. I haven't even finished it yet. We're just going to read the opening paragraphs, okay? Because they really are enough, and they do enough to kind of fortify that conversation we were having last night. Welcome to those of you who are joining. Thanks for popping in. We are just diving deeper into this situation of people with no inner voice, okay? Now, this was published on April 27th, 2009, okay? So this is 11 years old, okay? So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to read it and I'm going to kind of go through slow. We'll chat through it a bit. I'll read some of your comments. It is long. I'll read some of your comments. We'll get out of here. I don't anticipate being here very long, but every time I say that, it ends up being like a 2-hour live stream. So we shall see. Plus, I don't think a lot of people know I'm live yet. So we'll just hang out for a bit and then we'll wrap it up. So let's go. This is called Spiritless Humans. The name of this website is Montauk.net. Why can't I say that word? Montauk.net is the name of this website. I don't know who they are, who they're affiliated with. So hopefully it's not like some super far right or left wing type website. I hope not. But I haven't dug in that deep. So I don't know, to be honest with you. So let's go through this a little bit. The article opens up like this. Empty people, puppet people, cardboard cutouts, drones, organic portals, background characters. Why do these terms even exist? Because out of necessity, they had to be invented by those who independently noticed the same puzzling phenomenon, one for which there is no official name. Some people seem to be missing something very important inside. While they are not necessarily any less intelligent, successful, or physically healthy as anyone else, they nevertheless show no indication of having any higher components to their consciousness. I mean, that is quite the opening line. That is quite the opening sentence. I feel like this is essentially what we've been talking about on my primary channel for a very long time, Permission to Exist. So like, we're probably just going to go through this page that we can see right now that stops at other components. And we'll just kind of work through this very slowly, okay? So I know those of you who came over from PTE have heard me refer to these people as body snatched, hollow men, hollow women. I've said that they have a flat affect not related to autism or Asperger's. I've said it's like there's almost like there's nobody home. Last night we deep dived into the nobody home theory with this discovery that there are people out there who are conscious of the fact that they have no inner voice. And if this is your first time hearing that, because maybe you weren't on that live stream, you didn't hear it, essentially these individuals are saying they cannot think to themselves in words. So you know how when you're not speaking, you can kind of hear your own voice going in your head, just kind of talking to yourself mentally. There are people out there who cannot do that. They have to verbalize. So even if they're alone is what I'm basically saying. So a lot of us talk to ourselves when we're alone. But what I'm saying is if you wanted to close your mouth and continue that conversation in your head, you could. What these people are saying is that they cannot. Okay. So if that is the case, these opening adjectives, empty people, puppet people, cardboard cutouts, drones, organic portals, background characters. It seems to me that the situation of not having an inner voice kind of fits this 100% to a T. And I don't know about any of you, leave it in the comments if it's true. But like I've been checking to make sure I can still hear my inner voice all day. What about you guys? Because I'm so perplexed and unnerved by the situation that I just had to make sure that I can still hear mine. And I can, thank God. Like I made sure I could think in whole entire sentences. I made sure that I can think complete thoughts. I made sure that I was hearing my voice. I made sure that I wasn't like talking like under my voice. No. So we're still good, which is good. The question on the chat, it says, here, I'll just post it up. Since we're on the duck tonight, how can we phrase this to find out if they have an inner monologue? I was thinking about that earlier today, actually, and I think I came up with an answer for you. You ready? Here's how you find out. You go, so when you're alone, what do you think about? So that's one way. Or you could say, does your inner voice ever get on your nerves? Or you could ask them, do you have a tough time falling to sleep because your thoughts are racing? Which the third question is not really fair because some people fall asleep because they just are that tired, like they're just exhausted. So their head is gonna hit the pillow. Right, I can argue with my voice as well. Hello, someone. I get into really in-depth arguments, okay? But those are the ways I would phrase. I would start off with, when you're alone, what do you think about? And if they say nothing, or I think the answer you're looking for is nothing, is the one that should set you off or tip you off, rather. But if that one doesn't produce, then you should follow that one up with, what did I just say the second one was? Oh, does your inner voice ever get on your nerves? And if they say, I don't have an inner voice, that should tip you off. And then the third one, which again, I don't think it's fair, but the third one is, do you have trouble falling asleep at night because your inner voice is going? And again, some people's jobs are so physically demanding, they're going to tap out as soon as they hit the pillow. So it's not really a fair question, but questions like that. So basically ask questions assuming that they have one, you see? And then if they don't, that'll be the first thing that comes out. Like, what inner voice? What are you talking about? It's like, when you're thinking or reading, your voice, that voice, even I would even give them credit if they hear someone else's voice, like their mother's voice. Some people had mothers that were so influential, and be that good or bad, that people can still hear their mother's voice in their head when they, are thinking. So I'll even give them credit for someone else's voice being in there. But if they tell you nothing, You need to be concerned. I knew somebody, and I mentioned this person on last night's live stream. They did not like to be alone, and they would never really go fully into why, but I essentially think this is why, because when they are alone, they are truly alone, and they hear nothing in their head. There's nothing going on, which is why I think this person really pulled a lot of supply from me, because I am very chatty. I am. And that's something to latch on to when you have nothing going on in your own head, you know? Now, I don't ramble and just like, I engage in meaningful conversation, dialogue back and forth. But, you know, if a person wants to talk to me and the topic is interesting, literally myself and that person, we can go for hours if it's good, hours if it's good. So that's what I mean by chatty. I'm a chatty person, obvious, if you haven't figured that out yet. Anyway, I don't think they like to be alone for that reason. They feel empty and it's scary. It's almost like being in a dark room all by yourself and like pitch black, no light. You can't really feel anything around you. You don't know where you are. You don't know who you are entirely. You think you know who you are, but you can't see yourself. So you can't really be sure. And if it's pitch black, can you really be sure you're even awake, or are you asleep? So it's kind of like being in a dark room all by yourself. Okay. Let me glance at the comments here. Yeah, my inner voice gets on my nerves. It's annoying. Let's see. Calming the inner voice. I know, right? So it says a lot of books that speak on healing for trauma mention calming the inner voice. I can't believe people don't have one. Right. Like, we've been operating off of the assumption that everyone has one, because you've even heard people say things like, you know, treat your inner voice. Don't let your inner critic, right? Inner critic, you know, treat yourself kindly. Don't speak to yourself in such an unkind way. You know, give yourself some praise, like build yourself up. Don't always tear yourself down. So the only way you can build yourself up or tear yourself down is if you're either thinking about yourself or talking to yourself. So, but it's not singular. Like, it indicates that there's a separation between the person and the mind. So I think what these people are basically saying is there is no separation between the body and mind for them. For them, they are all body. Yes, I do think that's why they need other people so much, because other people help them feel things. Other people help them feel real, kind of. So their need for supply, if we were going to offer a sympathetic branch to the narcissist, their need for supply comes from the fact that they literally feel nothing. So anyone or anything that can make you feel something, you're going to latch onto because they make you feel alive. You understand what I mean? All right, so let's move on. Oh, I think this too. Maybe they're trying to, I have to say hurt, because you know what? This channel isn't monetized yet, so I can actually use the word. Maybe they are trying to murder your voice, right? That voice, that thing that kicks in, like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. They try to get you to doubt that. And why wouldn't they? They don't have one. So they don't believe yours. So when you tell them, I don't really feel right about this, my gut is telling me, you know, XYZ, they're like, oh, your gut schmut, you know? And so they want to silence that, but maybe the reason they want to silence it is not necessarily malicious. Maybe they want to silence it because they don't actually think it exists. They think you're being ridiculous. Let's see here. Okay. It's kind of sad, isn't it? And here's the other thing, y'all, that I was thinking about. Like, literally, this has been on my mind all day. There's a lot of people, and I've talked about this on Permission to Exist before, who like to rush me off the phone, right? You know, and I'm reflective enough to be like, is it something I'm doing? Am I talking too much? Am I making sure that I'm sharing the conversation? Am I boring? Maybe I'm boring, you know? And I just kind of review and I'm just like, no, but they called me though. You called me. Um, and then when we kind of get to chatting a little bit, they rush me off the phone and I'm like it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit if I'm going to be honest with you, because it's like, why don't you want to talk to me? Like, you could tell me, you can give me feedback and be like, girl, you need to stop, fill in the blank. I thought we had that kind of relationship. But I don't think it's anything I'm doing, y'all. What I think is happening now after the discovery of this new information, what I think is happening is the more you talk and use words, the more it kind of starts to fill up that hollow, empty space inside of them. And it starts to make them feel things. And in addition to making them feel things, I think it makes them feel very weird and uncomfortable, right? Because the truth is, a lot of our thoughts don't always make us feel good. They don't. There is such a thing called intrusive thoughts. Now, some people who have different conditions suffer with intrusive thoughts more than others. But I think even regular people can have intrusive thoughts, meaning thoughts you would rather not be having, but you're having them anyway. That's what I mean by intrusive thoughts. Thoughts that you would rather actually them not be there, but they keep popping in against your will, right? So, I don't even know where I was going with that. Dang, let me see if I can catch up on my own live stream, see where my thought was. I don't even know where I was going with that. Too close. Oh, well, it's gone. But yeah, maybe it'll come back. Oh, well, I was responding to this comment right here. This absolutely breaks my heart. Let me pull it up. I was responding to that. And it's kind of sad because I think they know, y'all. I think they know something's wrong. And I say that because I've had some of them verbalize to me before, I think something's wrong with me. And they meant it. They weren't joking. A lot of us say that in passing, like, oh my gosh, I'm crazy. Oh my gosh, I'm insane. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? And you're just kind of being facetious. You're not really being serious. I've had some of them kind of either look me in the eye if we were face to face or over the phone say, I think something's wrong with me. And at the time, what am I supposed to say? I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. So I just be like, well, girl, if you say so. I mean, if you say something's wrong, something's wrong. But what makes you think that? And they would just kind of be like, I'm like, what does that mean? I mean, because who am I to tell you something's not wrong with you? If you tell me I think something's wrong, and I'm like, okay, well, what makes you say that? And they're like, I'm like, ooh, that deep, huh? Okay. So it says, I think we make them aware there's something wrong. They think we're doing it to them. Right. Right. It's almost like, okay, when your leg or your arm goes to sleep, usually it's your leg that goes to sleep. That sensation you get when all the blood starts rushing back in, I essentially think that's what's happening to them when they come around us, basically, which is why they eventually have to move out of our energy field, because our energy field is the equivalent of your leg waking back up. And for us, it's like, wow, how that can't be possible, but it's true. This is why they shut down conversation. This is why they interrupt. This is why they talk endlessly, because they don't want you to start up. Because once you start up, you start to kind of reinvigorate them. I read someone's comment. It's actually on this channel on a different video. It said, the power of life and death is in the tongue. So what if words literally kill or bring to life? Think about it. What if words literally kill or bring to life? Literally, which is why when you're talking to a narcissist, you feel so drained afterwards, because they are literally killing you with their words. And when they talk to us, we are reinvigorating them with life. And that feels weird. It feels just like your leg waking back up. Right. It's exactly like this. It's like a lack of a reflection in the mirror. If I walked past a mirror and couldn't see myself, I'd feel empty and weird. Exactly. Exactly. And it's almost like a lot of animals, it's hard to say whether or not they can see themselves, but a lot of people have experimented and discovered that when they put their pet in front of a mirror, their pet does not see themselves. Now I know that's not always true. Like I know a lot of dogs will attack the mirror, but that isn't that interesting though. They're attacking the mirror because they think it's another dog. So if you don't know that that's you, who do you think you are? So again, just to recap, excuse me, most animals cannot see themselves in the mirror. A lot of them can't. Yes, some of them can. Some of them are highly intelligent. I think dolphins can see themselves. I think elephants can see themselves. Okay. But in general, animals cannot see themselves in the mirror. So that should be weird to you, number one. That should strike you as odd and very, very strange, number one. But number two, what should strike you as even more odd is the fact that when they see themselves, they generally go on the attack because they don't realize that that's you. So if you don't know that that is you in the mirror, who do you think you are? So the same question could be posed for these individuals who are saying they have no inner voice. If you have no inner voice, or if maybe there is one there, but you don't identify it as yours, then whose is it? And who do you think you are? Because you not having an inner voice is the equivalent of a lack of a reflection in the mirror. So then who do you actually think you are then? Because to me, your inner voice is yourself. Like that makes up who you are, your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, your visions, your motivations, like your memories. Like to me, that's who you are. Like, so if you don't have that, then who do you think you are then? And that is what's scary and disturbing to me. We don't know who they actually think they are. Let's see here. We haven't even got off the first paragraph yet. All right, let me just scroll really quick. Exactly. God created with words. Words have been important from day one. And you know what? I was thinking about the video we were watching, the Q&A with someone who has no inner voice, with the guy who's a physician's assistant, and he was talking to the young lady who said she had no voice. This is on the other channel. And she was talking about how she reads and how she basically just draws a concept of what she read, but really, truly no understanding. She didn't say the no understanding, but pretty much if you draw a concept of what you read, you don't actually know what you just read. You don't. Because the thing about words is every single one of them is important. So I don't know if it's intentional or a function of this no inner voice, but essentially what they're saying is, all these words aren't important. These words aren't important. What? Okay, yeah. Okay, I got a concept going. Right? Now, to me, that's the narcissism coming out. The belief that you just already know what's on the page. Like you just kind of skim it with your eyes. Yes, I know speed reading exists. Got that. I know there's like speed readers and they actually read it and get it. Got it. Not talking about them. I'm talking about people who are saying that they look at the shape of a sentence and then draw a concept map from that and just kind of, pull from there. But what that basically tells me is you don't read, you refuse to read. I don't know if it's a refusal or a function or a feature of this disorder, because I consider that to be a disorder, and that's just my non-medical opinion. But imagine how much information they are missing by not reading. Y'all, reading is so important. Reading is so important. Like reading every word is what I mean. And I know that your brain has the ability to kind of like fill in gaps. So you don't have to go, Miss Mary Muppet went down to the mark. Like, no, Miss Mary, okay, Miss Mary Muppet went to the market. You know what I mean? Like, y'all get my point. Reading is important. You actually have to read. Like, you can't just skim and just come to a conclusion about what you read without actually looking at it. That's insane. That's scary to me. That's scary to me. Let's see. It is mind-blowing, isn't it? Let me see here. Right. So they're not invigorated with cliches or stories. It is that deep interactive dialogue that stirs them up. Absolutely. So, you know, hold on one sec. Okay. Yeah, it's when it starts to go beneath the surface that they get uncomfortable and they have to flee. They have to flee, you know? And someone said on the comment thread on the other channel yesterday how their dad doesn't like to text them. And I was thinking about that all day and I was like, I bet that's because text requires like the use of real words. Like you actually have to write words with text versus talking, you can just speak and everyone knows that, you know, for example, birds, everyone knows parrots can parrot and speak what they've heard and they can kind of store it and they can retrieve it. Highly intelligent, right? Well, I think narcissists are the same way, just kind of just a kick above on the human level, but not many more kicks. And honestly, the birds are probably smarter, to be perfectly honest with you. But you guys get my drift. It's not language use really. It's a human form of parroting language, which is why they love cliches because you can remember a cliche. They love to draw on movie lines because they were memorable, like they stick, you see, versus the creation of original and real dialogue that comes from somewhere else in the brain. To just sit and come up with something you've never heard before and say it out loud. Like I've never even thought of that as an ability before, but apparently it is. That generation of new information from within, they don't have that. They can't do it. Your bird sees himself and tries to kiss himself. That's cute. Ooh, what if they're attacking their own inner voice? And if they have that person telling them, you know, you shouldn't do that, and they don't know that it is them, so they attack you. Exactly. So basically, are you saying that they're in an argument with themselves? Like, you know, that's wrong. Don't do that. And it's like, shut up. I'm going to do it. But you know, that's wrong. You know, you were taught better than that. Don't do that. Pieces in my head. No, that's your voice. That would be your voice that you're hearing right now. I don't have a voice. Oh, yeah, you do. Okay, let me see here. All right, I'm just scrolling you guys' comments. Then we're going to move on to the next paragraph. Okay, so we just read that opening line, which really, honestly, the whole life. Move on to the next one, and let me see if this makes. I don't know if that makes it better or worse for y'all to see. So I'm just going to highlight it, and if you can't really see it, I won't highlight it. It says, over the years, I have received emails from readers who came to the same conclusion. They noticed that some people were strangely one-dimensional and hollow inside. This observation is not hard to miss, but it is easy to rationalize away, especially with modern society being so heavily brainwashed with the politically correct but unrealistic concept that everyone is completely equal in every way, which ignores functional differences due to environmental, genetic, and most important, metaphysical factors. Whew. Can I just say, I don't know who wrote this, but Amazing writing. This person is an incredible writer because they're taking something that's relatively complex and they are really making it easy to understand. And to me, that's a sign of a very good writer. But they essentially were saying that over the years, people have reached out to them saying they keep running into the same one-dimensional, hollow people inside. Okay. And then it says, he was basically saying that people are desperately trying to ignore environmental, genetic, and metaphysical factors regarding this. And you know what? I had to take a step back and go, I've been making the assumption that everyone was the same in that way, that everyone has an inner voice, everyone has a conscience, that they just override it, Like I've been kind of rethinking some of my theories all day regarding narcissism, really, because I'm like, I've been ascribing very malicious intent, and I still do think a lot of them are just flat out malicious, just nasty, wicked to the core. You're just evil. You're born evil. You're going to die evil, right? But now I'm starting to wonder if there's a secondary thing going on, which is this emptiness. Because if someone doesn't feel anything, they don't think anything, then how can we expect mature adult human behavior from them? And they can't tell you, some of them may not even realize yet that they are completely empty inside. Although I think a lot of them know. For example, I saw somewhere, when I was reading up and reading through all this stuff, a lot of them are unaffected by the loss of people very close to them. So assuming a healthy relationship, assuming like a healthy upbringing, no narcissism, no toxicity, healthy, loving relationship between parents and child, a person who's hollow inside could lose one of those loving parents, and they can demonstrate sadness on the outside, but on the inside, they feel nothing. And they are looking at everyone else crying like, wow, they're really moved by this. And I wonder why I don't feel that way. Like, I wonder why I can't feel that way. I had a narc boss, one of many, one of a long line of them, who, after I lost my cat of 18 years, I'd had this cat for 18 years. This was back in 2014. I was devastated. Like, I can't even begin to describe the devastation. It was so bad that I lost like a week of time. And what I mean by that is, when I think back to the day he passed and like where the next memory picks up, there's like a week gap in there that I have no recollection of, because I was just out of it, disoriented, upset, devastated, even though I knew, I had him for 18 years. I was grateful to have had him for so long, but when they're part of your life like that for so long, he saw me go from a child to an adult. He was with me through multiple moves. We moved states together. You know what I mean? So like, they're family. I don't care what anyone says, they're family. So I was devastated. I was through dealing, right? And eventually though, I had to go back to work. So I took I think he passed on a Thursday. So I took Thursday off, Friday off, obviously the weekend. Then I went back to work on Monday against my better judgment. And I'm the type of person to where when I cry, the next day my face is completely swollen. So I mean swollen, guys, like almost swollen shut is what I'm saying. I don't know. I guess I have I don't know what the word is, porous, like a porous under skin thing. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that when I cry, there's no hiding it for me the next day. I can hide it the day of. The swelling doesn't come until the next day. So I had to go to work though. So I did my best to kind of cover up the swelling, put on some makeup, made sure I looked okay. And my boss pulls me into her office and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, no. My cat just died. I had him for 18 years. And she goes, "It's just a cat. You need to get it together." And guys, I'm not a violent person per se, but I don't think I've ever wanted to come across a desk or table at somebody more than I ever wanted to in that moment. Like, I wanted to choke her out and kill her. Like, I I was livid. And I already had been losing respect for her, and he passed pretty unexpected. I mean, he was 18, but he was like super healthy and then like not healthy is what I'm saying. So it wasn't like a long-term illness that he had been struggling with, although cats do tend to hide their sickness. Anyway, I'm digressing. The point is, it was sudden for me. Like it was like he was super healthy and then he was suddenly not super healthy. And then like a couple days later, he was gone. And like I was trying to deal with all of that. You know what I mean? And she looks at me and says, "It's just a cat. You need to get it together." And I almost came across the table and choked her out. And then I had to once again think about bail money. And it was like, you do not have bail money, little girl. You don't. So you need to sit in this seat, choke her out in your mind, because I actually have a mind's eye. I actually have a mind's eye. So I'm sitting here looking at her and I'm sure my eyes were piercing right through her, but I'm choking you out in my brain because I just thought that was so rude and so cold and so nasty. Like, it's just a cat. Get over it. Really? Wow. And this woman had never had a pet. And not that this is relevant, okay? Because I'm not one of those people, but she also didn't have children and she was about 11 years older than me. So the window for her was a bit smaller. It was rapidly, time was rapidly running out if she wanted to start her own family without difficulty. That's all I'm saying. I hope nobody takes offense to that because I'm not trying to be offensive. But what I'm saying is the woman didn't have a nurturing bone in her body, is what I'm saying. I don't have kids, but I have not closed the door to kids. I just have to meet the right guy who I can actually visualize bringing forth your child into the world. Like, I need to make sure we're not replicating any demonic DNA. I need to make sure we're not replicating any narcissistic DNA. I need to make sure you're consistent and stable and not completely insane. There's a lot of things I need to check out before I actually bring forth your seed, but I have not closed the door. She had essentially closed the door, and that's her right as a woman. That is her right. You do not have to have kids. Please hear me loud and clear. All I'm saying is the woman didn't have a nurturing bone in her body. She'd never had a pet. She told me that. She's like, "I've never had a pet in my life." I was like, do you want one? She was like, "No." I'm like, dang, not even a dog? Because usually when people hate cats, they at least love dogs. I was like, "You don't even want a puppy?" She was like, "No, absolutely not." I was like, dang, girl. Wow. So that was a very long, drawn out, roundabout explanation to talk about this concept of them just being empty, strangely one-dimensional and hollow. Like, wow, you really can't relate to my pain. You can't even relate to the reality of something being in my life for 18 years and then suddenly not being there anymore. You can't relate to that. Like, I would feel like you'd at least be able to relate to that. Okay, you hate cats. We know that. I expected that out of you. Okay. Okay, you hate animals. Wow, didn't see that coming, but okay, makes sense. But you can't relate to the loss of something that someone has had for so long. You're hollow inside. And she and I, ooh, y'all want to talk about war. Oh, it was war. Oh, I gave her so many problems. I sure did. And it wasn't even like a situation where I was breaking the rules. I'm following the rules and still giving you problems because you guys are ridiculous. But she and I ended up really not liking each other by the time it was all said and done. And I have not spoken to her since. And it's impactful for me because she and I thought this is it. I finally met my boss. Like, I finally found the boss for me. Like, this is going to be a great relationship. Just dumb and naive. Anyway, let's move on a little bit. Sorry, I didn't mean to go into such a deep digression, you guys. It's just making me think about different things. Thank you, guys. Thank you for those of you who are showing your love. My little baby boy, that was my boy. So I said what I'm going to do now because, I don't ever see myself not being devastated by that, is I'm just going to add to the number. So I had him, just one cat, for 18 years. And now I have my two girls, and I hope I get to have them for 18 or longer. And then once my two girls leave me, I'm going to get three cats to fill the empty void in my heart and soul. Because it's a massive void that can't be filled by the same number. So you just have to keep adding to the number until, the city gets involved. Let's move on here. Let me look at your comments really quick. Let's see. Wow. There are people out there, and I actually think this condition has a name. They think they're the only real people on earth. I'm dead serious. I forgot what it's called, but essentially they have a tough time believing that they're not the only people on earth and that everyone else is like a figment of their imagination. I forgot what it's called, but it's a real thing. So yeah, same thing. Remind you of a character in a book who couldn't tell if they were real unless they're the center of someone's attention. Exactly. It's almost like a ghost, like imagine being a ghost, right? And you can see everybody and everything, but they cannot see you. So you probably, as a ghost, spend all day just trying to get people to notice you. So you knock things over, you hide their keys, you trip them, you do things to see if you're having an impact on the environment as a ghost. And if you are, then you know that you're real. But if you're not, then you're like, wow, I really am a ghost. Oh, crap. Let's see here. All right. No. This is my first cat from 18. Or I had him got him when I was 14. He passed when I was like 31. So no, Miss Thang is fine. She's right here, honey. This thing has life. This thing has like 12 lives. They're both fine. Oh, she's knocked out. That's my little girl. That's my baby. Where's my other baby? I guess she's retired to the other part of the house. All right, let's go. So let's move on to background. So it says, I'm going to highlight again. Hopefully that's helpful to you guys to show you where I am. It says, the idea of empty people first dawned on me in 1999 after having done much research into sociopaths and psychopaths, their condition being medically known as APD or antisocial personality disorder. My interest in this subject grew out of having been forced for many years to suffer under someone whom I later learned had all the signs of being a sociopath. Heartless and soulless were descriptive terms, but little did I know just how literally true they were. I had noticed in this person an emptiness behind the eyes and a very shallow conscious essence, which seemed to be at the root of the behavior observed. Whew. Excuse me. This is why I haven't finished this yet, because it's so deep. So this person did research into sociopathy and psychopathy. And, it kept coming back as APD, antisocial personality disorder. Okay. And apparently they were exposed to someone like this for many years. And the part that got me about that sentence was the emptiness behind the eyes and a very shallow conscious essence, which seemed to be at the root of the behaviors I observed. Exactly. Like, it's a shallow essence. And it is at the root of all of the behaviors we see from people like this. Because only someone who has absolutely nothing inside is capable of doing some of the things that we've seen them do. And that they do all the time. They're very repetitive. They're on autopilot. You know why they're on autopilot? Because there's no pilot. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so let's move on to this next There we go. Grab you. All right. It says, eventually I realized that this same root condition was present in some others who were not outwardly sociopathic, but whose lack of heart was masked by a well-adapted social exterior. In other words, what psychiatry would diagnose as APD was only the more extreme, criminal, sloppy manifestation of a condition that otherwise expressed itself more widely in a socially acceptable and less incriminating manner. The latter is what may account for the body of empty people present in the population. So, in other words, what they just said, to me, what they just described is narcissism. That's what they just described to me. That, here, because let me do this. So it says, eventually I realized the same condition was present in others who were not outwardly sociopathic. So in other words, on the surface, you can't see it. And by the way, so somebody misconstrued what I said in that live stream yesterday. And I'm telling y'all, that drives me absolutely bonkers. It drives me bananas, but I'm starting to not care because when I listen to the playback, I'm like, well, that's not what I said. So I'm getting a little tired of constantly having to clarify. But this is essentially what I meant, because they said in the comment, they were like, hey, P, and they weren't being mean, but they literally misheard what I said. They're like, hey, PTE, I noticed that you said narcissists are happy, well-adjusted people. I'll have to disagree. The narcissist I knew was not happy or well-adjusted, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, when did I say narcissists were happy, well-adjusted people? And so they gave a timestamp. So I went and listened. Oh, God, help me. God, help me. God, help me. What I said was narcissists don't appear to be suffering outwardly. For all intents and purposes, they appear to be functional, well-adjusted, happy people. That doesn't mean I'm saying narcissists are functional, well-adjusted, happy people. That's not what I said. What I was trying to say was they don't look broken down most of the time. They're not hobbling around. They're not, woe is me. Yes, some of them are, but by and large, they look normal is what I'm trying to say. For the love of God. And this paragraph right here is exactly what I was basically trying to say. It says, eventually, I realized that the same root condition was present in some others who were not outwardly sociopathic, but whose lack of heart was masked by a well-adapted social exterior. That's all I was saying. They appear normal. We know they're not. Help me, God. I don't know what else to say. Like, I only know English, y'all. I only know English. Maybe I'll get the Rosetta Stone and I'll start picking up some other languages because I only know English. Okay. Anyway, sorry. That was a tangent and a rant because it's just like, really? I work so hard to be understood, man. I see that you said that narcissists were happy and well-adjusted. I have to disagree because oh my God, it's not what I said. And the other takeaway from that video was that apparently I was completely on the side of the guy who punched the woman's seat. Even though multiple times and in a variety of different ways, I said in that video that he was wrong. That's one of the first things I said. I said, obviously, he's wrong. I also said that I think you can talk things out. I said, I think a conversation can be had. Things can be done. I said that he was wrong. I even said he might lose his job for that. But somehow, through all of that, they took away that I was on his side. Help me, God. So anyway, moving on, because that's not why you guys are here. Thank you for letting me purge that. Okay. So moving on to this next sentence, it says, but what exactly is missing in them? The answer is clear if we look at their common behaviors and qualities of consciousness. So going back to that question that someone asked earlier, how would you determine whether or not they have an inner voice? This is kind of what I was getting at, or at least I think I may have said this. If not, forgive me, but this would be another answer to your question. Common behaviors and qualities of consciousness. In other words, qualities, signs of life, signs that somebody is home. So let's move on. Let's see. Let me do this so I don't go past where I said we were going to go, because we'll keep scrolling and keep going. Let me just drop over to your comments really quick. Let's see here. Yeah, they hear what they want to hear, man. And it's worrisome because it's like, I'm a person who actually uses like complete sentences fairly often. Yes, I break it down from time to time, but overall, I speak in like complete sentences. And to have that not picked up, especially when I actually try to be understood, and to have that walked away with an entirely different interpretation is scary. That is scary to me, because that means that, or what that makes me wonder is, what else are people out there misinterpreting? Not in regard to me, in regard to anything. Life, in regard to their personal life, business, politics, whatever, globe, whatever. If you're misunderstanding someone who actually makes an effort to be clear, then what else are you misunderstanding? And especially, what are you misunderstanding when people are not clear? Because sometimes you have to kind of decode what people are saying. You're like, oh, okay, I see what they meant, So if you're not even willing to understand what someone is saying clearly, I can't imagine what's going on with the decoding. So that makes for a society that is ripe for collapse, because you cannot teach people. You can't teach people who don't understand what you're saying. And I'll admit, a lot of people don't understand that at heart, truly, like, I'm a comedian at heart. Like, so they miss a lot of the comedy in what I'm saying oftentimes. And I do use a lot of sarcasm, but I feel like people know when I'm being sarcastic and when I'm not. But then again, do they? I don't know. But at heart, I'm a comedian. So a lot of what I say is meant to be comical, and people take it serious. Anyway, relax, PTE, move on. Oh, wait, I'm not PTE right now. I'm a deeper PTE. Relax, a deeper PTE, move on. All right. Comments. Let me see here. Mass drops. Yes, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, let's move on. So now we're on behavioral and psychic characteristics. It says their behavior tends toward, here, let me do this. Their behavior tends toward being glib, shallow, egotistical, narcissistic, mundane, predatory, and materialistic. Sometimes these traits are camouflaged by a polished social exterior, but anyone with a discerning eye can see through the disguise. They lack individuality, independent thinking, and are strongly biased toward holding a herd mentality. Corporate cults, anyone? They lack comprehension of anything. Oh my God, y'all. Oh, it's so deep. They lack comprehension of anything beyond the material sphere of the five senses, and have no interest in such metaphysical matters except as flashy accessories to boost their social image. They also appear entirely incapable of empathy, soul searching, and willful self-sacrifice. Nevertheless, in the presence of others, they can put on a flashy show of concern, distress, or altruism for purposes of social manipulation. For example, crocodile tears to elicit sympathy, or doing something nice for another solely to guilt trip them later and extort a favor. Honestly, I could stop the whole live stream after this paragraph, and I might. Let me see something. Interesting. Oh, no, we can't stop after this. We have to keep going, y'all. There's a little bit more I want to share with you. And so we might actually stop after this second paragraph. What we might actually do, guys, is we might have to make this a series, because I think we have to break this whole article down. Let me see something real quick. Okay. So let's move through this one that we just read, and then we'll do the second one, and then we'll stop. Okay. And I don't do after shows on a deeper PTE, but I do kind of scroll the comments really quick, and then we get out. So it's still kind of sort of an after show, just not formally. Okay. So first, this person starts off with the characteristics: glib, shallow, egotistical, narcissistic, mundane, predatory, and materialistic. And this plays into the paragraph above it. Sometimes these traits are camouflaged by a very polished social exterior. So for all intents and purposes, they look normal and happy and put together. That was my exact point. They look normal is my point. But anyone with a discerning eye can see through the disguise. So once you wake up and once the scales start to fall off your eyes and you can actually see these people, you spot them everywhere, honestly. They lack individuality, and of course they would, because there's no inner voice, there is no self. So they're not an individual. So if you're not an individual, then you probably are going to do better off with the group, because you are not alone. Wait, you are not an independent unit is what I'm saying. They lack independent thinking, which of course, because there's nothing going on, it's hollow in there. It's empty, literally. Okay. They are strongly biased towards holding a herd mentality. So on last night's live stream, I told you guys that these people are easily manipulated and highly culpable. They're highly culpable because they have no individuality. They don't think independently. And by and large, nothing is happening in their brain. So what's happening in their brain is exactly what's happening right in front of them, which is what enables a lot of people to cheat on their boyfriend, girlfriend, or spouse, because the only thing that's happening for them is what's happening right in front of them. So if they're right in front of this attractive person, the marriage, the kids, the house, the family doesn't exist. Do you understand? So I'm not excusing their cheating. What I'm saying to you is, at that moment, none of that stuff exists at all. It might as well have never happened, is what I'm saying. It only exists again when they get back home, is what I'm trying to tell you. And the person they just cheated with, the whole thing never happened, because it's not in their face anymore. It's not in front of them anymore. Exactly. Out of sight is out of mind, literally. Exactly. So when the person gets confronted about cheating, it's like, how could you cheat on me? And it's like, that person meant nothing to me. And it's like, what do you mean they meant nothing? You slept with them. And it's like, I mean, yeah, it was the thing to do at the time. Man. All right, let's keep going. So it says, excuse me. Says they lack comprehension of anything beyond the material sphere. Oh, boy, I could stop right there. I could do a live stream on that alone, but I feel like this sentence totally proves the no inner voice theory. Does it not? They lack comprehension of anything beyond the material sphere of the five senses. That's basically what those people are saying. If any of you actually watched those videos last night, essentially what they're saying is, nothing is happening in my mind. Everything is happening outside of me. Well, those would be your five senses: smell, sight, touch, taste, and hearing. And as we discussed last night, even those are kind of dulled in some of them. You know? And then this person continues, they have no interest in metaphysical matters, except basically only as it is to show off. So they pretend to be like yoga gurus, you know, or anything that will, you know, develop like a cult-like following for them. They'll pretend to be metaphysical, you know, or how does it go? How does that Bible verse go? It's like they have a notion of faith, but not according to knowledge. How does that scripture go? It's like they have an enthusiasm for faith, but not according to knowledge. So in other words, you act like you know what you're talking about, And it seems like you do outwardly, but really it's not based on anything you actually know. You just picked it up somewhere and now you're marketing it, if that makes sense. All right. So boost their social image. Oh, well, here's our narcissism right here. They also appear entirely incapable of empathy, soul searching, and willful self sacrifice. Don't we talk about this all the time on PTE? Zeal without knowledge. Thank you. They have a zeal, but not according to knowledge. Now, I really think that is actually more so talking about like the congregation, the church attendees, like they're there, they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like, yes, all right, woohoo. But they have no idea what they're singing for. They don't know why they're clapping. They don't know why they're there, really, but it just seems like the right place to be. So they go. But I'm just applying it to this situation, But yeah, entirely incapable of empathy, soul searching, and willful self-sacrifice. Well, who does that sound like that we talk about all the time on my other channel? No empathy. They can't search their soul, so they can't introspect, and they will not willingly sacrifice or self-sacrifice or whatever, you know what I mean, without kicking and screaming, without a fight. That sounds very familiar. Nevertheless, in the presence of others, they can put on a flashy show of concern, distress, or altruism for purposes of social manipulation. For example, crocodile tears to elicit sympathy, or doing something nice for another solely to guilt trip them later and extort a favor. Man, I mean, is that not all so familiar? Okay. And only a person who's empty inside could do that, because anyone with a conscience and a soul and a brain and a thought process would have a lot of trouble doing these things, because they are able to think about how deeply that impacts somebody else. A lot of us won't do things simply because we believe in karma. I know I do. I believe heavily in karma. So there's things I won't do simply because I believe in karma, right? Like, for example, not coming across the table at my ex-boss, even though I don't think I would have got karma for that. I feel like the universe actually would have been balanced in that situation, but I digress. I'm not violent, y'all. I'm not. I promise I'm not. All right. So we'll do this one and then we'll stop. Okay. And then I think I'm just going to make this some kind of a series because it's pretty deep and I would love to go through it with you guys. So why don't we do that? We'll stop after this second paragraph and we'll just wrap the live stream. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate you guys stopping by as always. Okay. So here we go. It says psychically scanning their consciousness reveals something interesting. There is a certain simplicity, flatness, and inertness to their essence, even if their intellects are highly developed. Unlike other people, their conscious energy is more diffuse, dull, impermanent, and amorphous, rather than solid, sparkling, crystallized, and concentrated. Put another way, their minds are like sandcastles instead of real castles. There is something animalistic and rudimentary piloting their bodies. It seems they have conscious awareness just as plants and animals do, but not conscious self-awareness as humans are supposed to have. There is an important difference between awareness and self-awareness. Okay, I would actually like to read this one more time. I'm going to read it a little bit faster, but whoo, there's so much in this one, okay? It says, psychically scanning their consciousness reveals something interesting. There is a certain simplicity, flatness, and inertness to their essence, even if their intellects are highly developed. Unlike other people, their conscious energy is more diffuse, dull, impermanent, and amorphous rather than solid, sparkling, crystallized, and concentrated. Put another way, their minds are like sand castles instead of real castles. There is something animalistic and rudimentary piloting their bodies. It seems they have it seems they have conscious awareness just as plants and animals do, but not conscious self-awareness as humans are supposed to have. There is an important difference between awareness and self-awareness, okay? God. Y'all, I can't do this. I don't think I can do this anymore. Wow. So I don't see this person in the chat, but thank you to the person who wrote the comment, empty cedars, in last night's live stream, because that's what led to this. I researched it, and I found this article, and oh, wow. Okay. So we're going to break this down, and then we will get out of here, guys. Okay. So it says psychically scanning their consciousness reveals something interesting. So I'm not sure what this means. That maybe this person like is a psychic. I don't know. But I guess, that's some sort of process that I'm not aware of. But psychically scanning their consciousness reveals something interesting. There is a certain simplicity, flatness. Did I not say they had a flat affect? The flat affect. And inertness to their essence. The word inert basically means not active. You're not really kind of not dangerous anymore, or you're not like, so if a chemical is inert, it can't harm you anymore, basically. So it's basically dead, for lack of better words, to their essence, even if their intellects are highly developed. So someone made the comment last night when we were watching the video with the guy and the girl, and they said they said she seems pretty smart to me. And that's kind of the point I was trying to make. They seem normal for all intents and purposes. And this is part of kind of what makes people who are actually narcissists with this condition so dangerous. They seem normal because for the most part, like we try to act like we don't have stereotypes, but we all have stereotypes about different things, right? So if I'm somewhere, I know if I look up and I see a certain type of person, I might be a little uncomfortable, I'm going to make sure that I'm, on point, alert, straight back, keep walking, versus other types of people. I'm like, oh, they're fine, harmless. Oh, that's a grandmother. She wouldn't hurt a fly. And you never know, that grandmother could be like the leader of a drug kingpin. You know what I mean? Ring, whatever. My point is, we apply our stereotypes to those who we perceive to be outwardly dangerous, is what I'm saying. Some individuals appear outwardly dangerous. The ones we need to look out for are exactly what this person is describing. The ones whose intellects appear highly developed, but there is a flatness behind all of it, baby, all of it. And it comes out instantly. It's something that you can generally detect right away once you start interacting. You have to interact, of course. All right. So it's frightening because these people can very easily work their way into organizations and work their way up because they don't feel anything. So because they don't really feel anything, they don't really feel abuse or mistreatment. Do you understand? So it's very easy to take advantage of them. It's very easy to overwork them. It's very easy to overload them because they will do it, and they might grumble a little like, man, this is a lot of work. Not even realizing that that's not right. That's not supposed to be happening to you. So then what happens is, because they took that abuse so well, they took it well, they get promoted, and then they get put in positions of power over you. And because they cannot feel anything, they cannot feel what they're doing to you either. They actually okay. So we're playing kind of sort of devil's advocate here. So we have totally acknowledged narcissism in the intentional aspect. So right now we're exploring the potentiality of there being an unintentional aspect. Okay. And in that, what I'm basically saying to you is there They're so difficult and hard on you and hard with you because they didn't even feel it when someone was being hard on them because they don't feel anything. So when you tell them, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Boss, I'm getting burnt out. Like I'm kind of tired. I think I need a break. It's like, oh, you're whiny, you're entitled, you're lazy, you're a millennial, you're this, you're that. When the truth is, yeah, it really is too much work. But you would never know that because you can't feel anything. You can't even imagine. The reason they have no empathy is because they literally cannot imagine themselves in your shoes. Like we've known forever that they don't have empathy, but what we didn't know is that some of them literally have no imagination. And in order to have empathy, you have to have some sort of an imagination. Okay? So if you can't imagine what someone else is going through, how can you ever take what they're saying to you seriously? Like, what do you mean you're overworked? I did the same thing and I'm fine. Yeah, and you actually developed high blood pressure and pre-diabetes after you got through getting overworked and run into the ground. But you're just blaming that on your age. You're like, oh, I'm getting older. I'm 55. So people get blood pressure issues at 55. Oh, they develop diabetes at 55. It's just age. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe it's because you've allowed your body to be abused for so long, but they don't register the abuse. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. That abuse does not register anywhere. And because it doesn't register for them, it doesn't register when they're doing it to you. And that is not an excuse. What I'm saying is that is a very, very frightening explanation is what I'm trying to tell you. It doesn't excuse it, which is why we have jails, you understand, and prisons. Because just because you can't feel that what you did was wrong doesn't make it not wrong. Okay, so we're going to put you in a cell and let you think for a long time, and maybe it'll click and you'll go, oh, wow, that's why that was wrong. But you don't seem to get it. Jail is for people who don't seem to get it. And I guarantee you, most of them feel nothing inside, which is why I think. Now, don't get me wrong. I know people in jail do commit suicide from time to time, but I think that that's why there's not higher numbers of it. Like you would think pretty much within 30 days of most of them going in, they would take their own lives for the most part, because it's such a bad situation. But if your day resets for you every day mentally, and if inside you really think and feel nothing, then you can sit in a jail cell for 30 years because to you, it might as well have been one day. 30 years, one day, it's all the same to them. They were going to be living the same day anyway on the outside. Do you understand? So inside or outside, they were going to be living the same day every day for 30 years anyway. So what difference does it make that it's in a jail cell? That's how they're able to do those long bids with no problem. Okay? So let's move on in this sentence. It says, excuse me, unlike other people, their conscious energy is more diffuse, dull, impermanent, and amorphous rather than solid, crystallized, and concentrated. Wow, what a great writer. I've never heard consciousness described that way. Solid, sparkling, crystallized, and concentrated. Okay? So in other words, the people we're describing, and I mean this with the highest degree of respect, but the people that we're describing are airheads. Let me look at your comments really quick. All right. Yep, I'm scrolling through them as soon as we're done with this paragraph. But thank you all for joining. I appreciate you guys coming. But again, for lack of better words, and I mean this with the highest degree of respect, they are airheads. And I have been calling them brick-brained for a long time, but I think that's actually inaccurate. I don't think brick-brained is an appropriate description. And I think the more appropriate description is airhead. There's nothing there. Like we discussed last night, nothing sticks. So impermanent, if your conscious or consciousness is impermanent, it means it kind of flaps like a leaf blowing in the wind. Have you ever seen a leaf caught in the wind? That's kind of what their consciousness is. It's like, oh, here, oh, there, it's gone. Gone forever too. Gone forever. Let me see here. Where were we? Put another way, their minds are like sand castles. I want to meet this person. I feel like these are the types of friends that I need in my life. Put another way, their minds are like sand castles instead of real castles. Okay. I think that was a pretty excellent description. One is real, one is not. We built sand castles that washed away. Okay. And as we all know, they're deeply impermanent, easily kicked over, and typically wash away by the end of the night. And isn't that what I told you guys? That it resets every day. Well, if you have a sand castle brain, then everything resets at the end of the night when the tide comes in, which I guess would be their sleep. Must be nice. Let's see here. There's something animalistic and rudimentary piloting their bodies. Piloting their bodies. Have we not talked about that like dozens of times, that it appears that something else is in control of them? A lot of you have said lizard brain or reptilian. Sounds about right. But from what I understand, like iguanas and them, aren't they intelligent? They're kind of smart, right? Or I don't know. I have no familiarity with the reptilian, the real reptile world, the animal reptile world. Excuse me. So I guess what I'm saying is no offense to the lizards, the real reptiles. But it's almost like the download did not complete. Something did not complete in the process with these people. And I don't know if they got hijacked mentally or if they were just simply born without it. I don't know if they've been pretending to be normal for a long time, but then I try not to use the word normal, because how do we know we're normal? You know, like we would like to think we are, but what if having a voice going in your head all the time really isn't normal? But it's helpful, my voice. Anyway, we try not to use the term normal because we're, who's really normal? But I guess what I'm saying is it appears that there is value to being able to think thoughts in words and like think whole thoughts in words and like contemplate something and kind of work on it in your brain. For example, a lot of people who do like software engineering and coding and things like that, they'll get stuck on something. They'll walk away from it, and like go home for the night, kind of do their routine. And then they might be laying in bed and they're just thinking about it. And then suddenly it clicks. So it's almost like that's not happening with you, is it? That never happens to you, does it? Like, it's like a new day every day, isn't it? Wow. All right. And then this whole piloting their bodies thing, that goes right into my demonic possession theory on narcissist demonic possession. I think we have a tough time accepting. First of all, I think we have a tough time accepting the spiritual realm in general. Part of the whole reason this channel exists, A Deeper PTE, is to separate it from permission to exist, because people get really bent out of shape over the spiritual. They really do. They'll leave comments like, man, I was really enjoying your channel. Then you started talking about demons. Gotta go. Or, man, I was really enjoying your channel, but it sounds like you believe in God, and I'm so disappointed in you. And it's like, the fact that you won't even consider that it's a possibility makes me disappointed in you and worried for you too. But the thing is, there's so many people like that, y'all, and I'm not talking from a religious aspect. I'm just talking from the aspect of just believing there is nothing else out there. But then again, the discovery that some people have no inner voice would explain why they think there's nothing else out there. There is nothing else out there because there's nothing in here. There's nothing out there because there's nothing in here. So essentially, there's always nothing to them unless it's happening in front of their face. You see? Oh, wow. We got to get into that. The piloting their bodies. What is piloting those bodies? Who is in control? Who do you think you are? Now, there's a good question to ask a person who claims to have no inner dialogue. who do you think you are? Like, is there an R-ness? Do you have an identity? Does it have a name? Do you have a name other than the one that was given to you by your parents? Are very good questions to ask. Okay. All right. Now let's get into this last piece and we will wrap for the evening, you guys. Okay. It says, it seems they have conscious awareness just as that plants part is messing me up because someone last night on the live stream said that basically they're no smarter than a house plant. And that really messed me up last night. And so when I see they have conscious awareness just as plants and animals do, but not conscious self-awareness as humans are supposed to have. Right. There is a certain awareness of self that we are supposed to have. We are, guys. We are. And not having that is highly problematic. And the people who don't have it, they seem to kind of know, but they don't really want to talk about it because I think they realize how much it would freak out other people. The knowledge that, yeah, I kind of sort of feel nothing inside on an ongoing basis, you know? And I think it actually goes beyond disassociation. I think it goes beyond disassociation. I think it's been a state that's been present like forever with these, because the people who have disassociated generally can pinpoint like when it happened, you know, they can think back to when they actually started to disassociate. I think this has been a constant state for these individuals their whole entire life. All right. And then this one closes with, there is an important difference between awareness and self-awareness. So to me, you know what this would be the difference between a baby or child and someone who has finally discovered that they are alive, right? Most of us don't remember. I think my first memory kicks in like around, honestly, you guys, like around age 7 is when I have my first real memory that I can like pinpoint. And like prior to age 7, like, I mean, clearly I was there because I'm here now, you know, so there's proof that I was there, but prior to age 7, couldn't tell you, you know, I mean, we've got the photographic evidence to prove it, but prior to age 7, I had no self-awareness, you see? So it's like the self-awareness finally kicked in for me, at least around age 7. It might come sooner for other people, but you get my drift. It appears that their self-awareness never kicks in, never, which again leads to the question, like, then who do you think you are right now? Where do you think you are? And how did you get here? Okay. You know what else it would be very similar for me to? It would be very similar to if, or no. It would be similar to, you know, when you dream, right? And you remember your dream the next day. When you're in the dream, you just kind of pop in and you never ask questions. You're never like, where am I? How did I get here? Who are you? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Like you literally pop in and go. Like you plug right into whatever is happening in that moment with no questioning, to the point where your brain actually thinks that it's real. And it very well could be, but we'll get into that on another live stream. Anyway, assuming dreams are not real, you plug right in. You don't question it at all. You just hop right in. You don't question who you are, what you are, where you are, what you're doing, who you're doing it with. You're just doing it. And it's not until you wake up from your dream that you're like, what in the world was that? What was that? Why was I there? Why was I with this person? And it's totally normal in the moment. You understand? In the dream, it's completely normal and it makes perfect sense. In the dream, it's not until after the dream you realize, wow, that was really crazy. So essentially, I think that might be how these spiritless humans or empty seaters are living their lives every day. It's like they suddenly find themselves there. Like, oh, I'm at work. All right, I'm working. Yep, we got a project due. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm here. It is. Yeah. Okay, project. Oh, lunchtime. Lunchtime. All right. Boom, going to lunch, eating food. Okay, going back. Ooh, red light. Hey, okay. Oh, and I'm in the office again. Wow. There's a whiteboard. Oh, we're in a meeting. Wow, this meeting is kind of long. Who's talking? And I'm back in my car going home. And I'm home and now I'm in bed. It's kind of like a constant it's a constant thing. It's not constant, but it's like a moment to moment thing, kind of like in a dream. You just move from moment to moment. You don't really question it. And then you have no recollection of how you got there, why you were there in the first place, anything until you wake up. So it's almost like these folks never woke up. You know what it's, oh my God. I have a deeper thought. Y'all ready? You know how they smack the baby's bottom to wake them up when they come out of the womb? So they kind of know that you're on the other side now. You're no longer in the womb. It's almost like that smack never woke them up. So essentially, it's like we have a sleeping baby on our hands that it's maturing in terms of the physicality. The body is maturing, it's getting bigger, it's growing, it's getting older year by year. But it's almost like the smack never woke them up. It's almost like they're still on the other side of the veil. And it's like, I wonder what it would take to make them suddenly wake up and be like, oh my God, I'm alive. Holy crap, I'm a human. Oh, wow. How old am I? I'm 48 years old. Oh, like, I wonder what that would take. Like, what would that sudden moment of clarity? Oh, they call it something else. What's it called? No, I guess that's it. Moment of clarity. What would it take to trigger that? I wonder. They need a smack. Oh man. Maybe that's what it is. Nobody has ever gotten physical with them. And as a result, they never woke up. We still have sleeping babies on our hands, you guys. Still. So that essentially concludes the content for the evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I would like to actually just do a quick scroll of your comments. No official after show. Again, these are our side houses. Permission to Exist is the primary house. That's Mom's house. And Mom is a little crazy. She is. So we just leave her to her own devices and we come out here to these houses in the back of the yard and hang out. So, the goal of a deeper PTE and Pettynomics is low production so I can actually give you more content. PTE is high production and she's just going to be that. That's her. She's high production. So these are low production so I can actually pump out more content. Anyway, y'all didn't ask me that. I was just telling. Let's see. Let me go through your comments. Oh, absolutely. It says, I'm convinced there's a school for people to learn how to misinterpret, assume, and jump to conclusions because some folks are too good at it. Absolutely. Like, how are you so masterful at this? Because that is absolutely not what I said. It's not. There's a part of me that wants to start throwing in gibberish just to see what happens. Be like, so Tuesday at 3:00, we have an appointment with our first client who bought a purple unicorn and a green Lamborghini, and we're going to submit that report to them by 4 p.m. that day, or else the President of the United States is actually going to visit and do a rally in our conference room, and we need to get that to them via email and PDF format. And just see if they catch any of it. Just see if they're like, purple unicorns, what are you talking about? Nope. I guarantee they would miss the whole thing. They'd get hung up on the first and the last piece of the sentence, and that's it. Let's see. Yeah, they're frauds. Let's see. And maybe that's why they what is that new syndrome everyone's been going on about? Is it called imposter syndrome? And the way that they've described it is basically people who feel like fakers in their current role. So like if I got hired to a vice president role, like if I honestly did, I would feel completely out of place, but I wouldn't feel like an imposter, you know. But that's what they've described the syndrome as. Basically, you don't feel like you're qualified for the job. But I'm starting to now think differently about the imposter syndrome. What if the imposter syndrome, what they want to tell us but can't, is that no. I'm pretending to be human is what I'm doing. Has nothing to do with the career or the role or the job. I'm actually pretending to be human up here. And it's not working. I saw someone say the other day that the demons are getting tired of hiding. That could be a live stream all by itself. That they're actually getting exhausted, like they want acknowledgement, like they're tired of trying to be good and they're tired of pretending to be good. They've done that for a very long time, and now they want credit, like, ha, look at us. This is what we've been up to all this time. They want the credit for that. They're tired of hiding. And I think they might be onto something. Let's see. Excuse me. Yeah, out of sight, out of mind, literally, which enables them to do anything because then you're not taking anyone else's feelings into consideration because to you, they don't even exist in that moment. This is why I think some parents were able to be such terrible parents, because those of us who kind of have a heart and soul could never dream of being bad parents to our kids. But some people are able because you don't register as their child to them. You just register as like an entity, like you're in front of them, which is, you're physical, basically. Oh my God, I don't know what's up with all these epiphanies. You're just physical to them. You are real in the sense that you're physical, but that would be the extent of it. Okay. So let's see here. Let's keep going. You want to hear some more about the sweet narcs? I'll do a couple more in the future. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, Narc Shock. Don't feel bad though, because honestly, I announce it at the last minute. So I make an announcement 5 minutes before I go on. And the reason I do that is because I want to make sure that I can go on. So I would hate to be like, hey guys, I'm going live at 8 and tell y'all that like around noon. And then 8 o'clock come around and I actually can't go live at 8. And sometimes production around here is so high that literally I'm not ready until 5 minutes before. So I'm sorry, but my hope, you guys, for the future, I don't know when in the future, but my hope is that I will be able to get on some sort of a schedule with some sort of predictability for you guys. So you're not just like wondering, when is she going to post? I don't do it on purpose, y'all. I'm just, oh man, there's so much going on. So much. But I am trying my hardest for you guys. Okay. Let's see. Right. Yeah. Form of godliness and zeal without knowledge. Exactly. I wonder if that's the same scripture. Form of godliness and zeal without knowledge. Is that the same scripture? Let's see. Masters of image management. Yes, they are excellent at it, which is why they're always concerned about you and your image and how you're presenting, because they know how important that is to people like them. Whereas we would rather stay true to ourselves and maintain our dignity. They're all about image, which is why they're always like concerned about it. Let's see. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate it. Let's see. I wonder if this is why they can't take accountability. Maybe. Because accountability would require memory, recollection, introspection, and the understanding that, what you did was wrong, and a firm understanding of like cause and effect. So how can you understand cause and effect if you don't even hold the cause in your mind? You forgot it already. It's gone. It's impermanent. So by the time the effect happened, you're like, what do you mean this is my fault? What are you talking about? I've been sitting in front of you the last 5 minutes. How's this my fault? It's like, well, do you remember 3 weeks ago when, and they're like, 3 weeks ago? What? Get out of here. It's not my fault. 3 weeks ago. Come on. Have you guys ever seen The Criminals on TV where the cops will show them security footage of them on tape, and they will flat out deny that it was them? It's not me. Because guess what? To them, it's not them. You know why? Because in that moment, they're sitting right there with you. So how could that be me on the security tape when I'm sitting right here with you? And then you have to explain to them that you did this last night. This was caught on tape last night. And it's like, last night? Pfft, come on, man, get current. We're here and now. How could that be me on the tape when I'm sitting here with you right now? So in other words, two things can't be true at the same time with these folks. You're either here with you or on the tape, but you're not in two places at the same time. You understand? So yeah, that might be why they can't take accountability. It does sound like artificial intelligence. It surely does. AI, bots. Okay, guys, I'm going to make a really weird and deep prediction for you guys, okay? And I am openly acknowledging that this is weird and strange and unusual, but you guys are on a deeper PTE. This is where you are. So, considering that that's where you are, you should expect this type of stuff, okay? I predict in about maybe 5 years or less, scientists are going to come forward and tell us that there are individuals among us who are not all the way human, okay? Just like Men in Black, okay? And they're easing us into it right now. Little by little, they're getting us used to the idea that, some people don't have an inner voice. Getting us used to the idea that, narcissism is just part of being human. It's just one of the human functions. Narcissism is. They're trying, and all this counterintelligence that's been coming out against narcissism and things like that. I believe they're trying to prepare us for the reality that there are people who are not all the way human. I think they've known about it for a long time. I think that they've hidden it for a very long time because they knew that people simply cannot cope with that reality. They cannot cope with the reality that they're standing in front of or sitting across from someone who looks just as human as they are, and they are not. And I believe science is going to roll out with that, and it won't spark hysteria because they're getting us used to it now by suddenly telling everyone, hey, there's people with no inner voice, right? Okay. And then the next thing you know, it's going to be, hey, there's people who don't have the five senses, right? Meaning like, okay, they can see, but they can't really see. Or maybe they can see, but they can't see color. Or maybe they can see, but they can't see depth. You see what I mean? And I'm not talking about people with vision disturbances, vision issues, people who need glasses, contacts, or people who are just flat out colorblind. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about something different is what I'm saying. I believe they'll say that they have trouble tasting, that they don't really feel as deeply as we do. So if you got jabbed with a pin, PIN, you'll screech. If they get jabbed, they're like, I just got jabbed with a pin. They can't really smell anything. I'm telling y'all, I know that sounds weird and creepy. Remember where you heard it first. Let's see. Yeah, always go with your gut for sure. You got to trust your gut. I've really been working on that this year, and I'm proud of myself. I think it's, well, not this year. This year really started, but probably like in the past 4 months, I guess you could say. And I think it's really working out for me because I have a tendency. I have a tendency to ignore my gut. Said you're laughing so hard, it sounds like you're crying. I'm married to one. I just want to cry. Maybe one day I'll be free and I can laugh too. I hope so. I hope if this channel and PTE, the primary channel, bring you nothing else I hope you guys can get a good laugh out of all this, really, because I know it's hard. I've been there, you know. I have been there. Let's see. Just scrolling. Yeah. Maybe this is why they look at and treat real humans with bewilderment and repulsion, right? Like anytime our humanity starts to emerge, they get uncomfortable, they shut down, they leave the room. And it's like, why are you behaving this way? And we've been using terms like adult brats. And I can't remember the one we made up, y'all. Was it mad? Malignant? Yeah, mad. Malignant arrested development. You know, overgrown toddler. You know, we've been using all those terms, but maybe we've just been dealing with people who are repulsed by our humanity because they're not. They are something different. They are something different. And I don't know how they got here. Is why they right. Oh, maybe no feeling is why they can't wait. Yeah, maybe no feeling is why they can have a marriage. They totally poison, but don't get the poisonous effects. Exactly. It's like being immune to your own venom. So you can bite yourself. You're fine. It's your victims who are suffering from that. And when your victims complain because you can't feel anything, you're like, what are you talking about? Let me see. Yes. So I don't know the terms 100%, like blind mind's eye. I saw that today. I meant to research it. But it says, I thought if you only see pictures, you can imagine. And if you can only see words, you have a blind mind's eye. Okay, so that must be what that means. You can only see words or you can't imagine. So they can imagine, they just can't put a logic together. Exactly. So what they're basically saying is like, if you're sitting in a room, like let's say you're in a waiting room, you don't have your smartphone or your phone, nothing to occupy your hands. You're just sitting there, right? And you're not supposed to talk for whatever reason, or you're just choosing not to speak. We thought that most people were sitting there thinking thoughts. Like, for example, I'll put it to you this way. You know how a lot of us have social anxiety because we're always worried about what other people are thinking about us? Are they going to look at me? You know, do I look weird? I don't want people to make fun of me, blah, 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 blah. And what I'm here to tell you is that out of a room full of 10 people, it is possible that 9 of them don't even know you're there. 9 of them, even though they're not preoccupied with like a phone or anything else, their mind is blank. So they're not looking at you like, look at her outfit. Oh, she looks weird. Oh, she has a weird face. They're not doing that. What I'm telling you is they're sitting there thinking this right here. This is what they're thinking. Did you hear that? Did it go quiet on you guys? It should have, because that's what they're hearing, okay? Absolutely nothing is what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm curious how they got like this too. And I don't, excuse me, I don't know if they have to reset every day or if it just happens, you know, like it just wipes. And that website I showed you guys seems to get into that kind of stuff too. So I'm really going to do a deep dive on this website. I've been waiting for something like this, y'all. I've been so internet bored. And there's almost nothing worse than internet bored because the internet is supposed to be the gift that keeps on giving no matter what. So I've been looking for some really deep content like this. And I also wonder if they're on YouTube. Alrighty. My throat is rapidly failing. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. All right, I'm just reading you guys' comments. Frosty the Snowman? I don't remember the movie. I don't remember the actual plot, I mean, but I did see your comment up ahead that he melts every day and the next day is a new one. Exactly. See, maybe these people have been trying to tell us this for a really long time. Groundhog's Day, Frosty the Snowman, 51st dates. Maybe they've been trying to tell us this for a long time and we just haven't been paying attention. We're just like, oh, how cute. What a cute concept. They're like, nah, this is actually real. It's real. And it's possible that they've already studied it and they're like, wow, this is really happening. How do we ever tell people that there are people out here like this? Let's see here. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap you guys because I can tell that perhaps my voice does not like back-to-back nights. But I think it did fairly well up until like 5 minutes ago. So I appreciate you all so much. I think you all find this topic interesting. I know I do. So I think we will explore it again, especially as we start to discover other areas where it applies. So as we're talking through different things and we're like, see, well, that would make a lot of sense if you feel nothing inside. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Same as last night. It'll take about an hour for this to upload to YouTube. Although I think if you're already in the room, you can push it back to the very beginning and it will let you. It'll let you actually take it all the way back to the start, even before it uploads. But I think once you X out, you have to wait for it to upload to YouTube. And then the live stream or the live chat will appear about 30 minutes to an hour after that. So the whole kit and caboodle will be available for you tomorrow in its completion by the time you go to work. But those of you who will be up tonight, if you give it about 2 hours, it will upload again, okay? Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate your support more than you will ever know. Sending you happy, positive vibes. You know, hold on to that inner thought process if you have one. Hold on to your inner voice, nurture it, make sure it's still there. Do check for me tonight, okay? I want you to just not speak, but I want you to maybe think through everything you have to do this week. And I want you to use words just to make sure that it is indeed there, okay? And if it's not, let's talk. Oh, I would love to interview somebody who doesn't have one. I think that would be profoundly fascinating. But anyway, you guys have a great night. I appreciate you joining me and I'll talk to you again soon, okay? Bye.